Hey everyone, CNC Keith here again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to update your Acorn CNC12 software to the latest version. If you have an existing copy of CNC12 up and running, like I do right here, right now, this is version 4.10, and I want to update this version to the latest version of CNC12, this video is for you. If you're installing a brand new copy of CNC12 on a PC that has never been installed where CNC12 has never been installed before, just please follow the other installation videos. This video covers updating an existing version of CNC12. Okay, let's get to it. The very first thing you want to do is go to the Utilities screen and hit Create Report. Navigate to where you want to save that report. In this case, I'm going to save it to the CNCM directory under the C drive. There's a folder called Report Backup. I'm going to click on that, and it saves a report to the Report Backup. I'm going to go ahead and shut CNC12 down, and then I'm going to start the wizard, which you initially used to set up CNC12. And when the wizard starts, what I'm going to do is just minimize the screen, and I'm going to drag it to the left so I get a nice format. And what I'm going to do is go down here and type in snip and bring up the Windows snipping tool. And when I have that up, I'm going to click New. And all I'm going to do is grab screenshots of every single tab in the wizard. So there you go. I just made a screenshot of this tab here on the left, the primary system configuration tab in the wizard. And I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go ahead and on my desktop create a new folder. And I'm going to call it CNC12 version 4.12 wizard screenshots. I'm going to open that folder, and I'm going to call this shot tab 1. Hit save. And I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for the other tabs. And so on and so forth. I'm going to continue to make screenshots and save the screenshots of all the tabs in the wizard. I'm just making a visual record of how the wizard is set up in my current running condition here of the version of CNC12 that I'm going to upgrade. And I will use this information later on in the upgrade. That's why it's important to make these screenshot backups. Okay, last one. Click on the little save icon, tab 4. Your wizard might have 5 tabs if you're running an Acorn 3. I'm running an Acorn 2 right now, so I only have 4 tabs. Okay, all done saving my wizard screenshots. The very next thing I want to do is open up the Windows File Explorer, go down to the C drive, open up the C drive, find the CNCM or CMCT directory. M stands for mill, T stands for turning. I'm running the mill software, so there's my CNCM directory. I right-click, copy, and right-click, paste. And all I am doing is making a copy of the working CNC12 mill directory of the current version that I'm running, which happens to be 4.10. So you might call it something like working 4.10. And I just made a backup. Now I'm going to go down to the Windows search bar, type in add, remove, and the add and remove programs pops up. As soon as that pops up, I scroll down, I find CNC12 mill, I click uninstall. It says uninstall again. Do you want to delete all your CNC programs, intercom files? I'm going to say yes to that because I made an entire backup of the entire directory. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close. Once Windows is done, I'm going to go back to the C drive, and you'll notice there's still a CNCM directory even though we uninstalled it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So click that and click delete and say yes, send that to the recycle bin. Now I am ready to start the installation process of the new CNC12 software. So what I did is I went to the Centroid website and I download the latest version of CNC12 software. That gets me a zip file. I right click, extract all on the zip file, and then I get this folder here. I'm going to double click on this folder, and inside this folder there's a program called setup.exe. I'm going to double click on setup.exe. Click I agree, click next. Do you want to install mill or lathe? I want to install the mill. Now my Acorn is powered up and running, as you saw earlier. I left it powered up and running during the installation process. And I'm going to click Finish. The wizard will start, and now this is where those screenshots come in. You have to go into each tab in the wizard and reset your settings, and click Right Settings to CNC Control. So I'm going to just drag that to the left and open it up here, and what I can do is go grab those screenshots. There's the folder, and here's tab 1, and I'm going to just drag that to the right. So here's the image on the right of the screenshot that I made in the old version, and on the left is the new version. So I got to make the new version look like the old version. So I'm going to go set this up exactly the same way that the old version was set up. So I go through all the tabs and set the settings the way they were. Axis configuration, spindle setup. There's some new stuff in here in this new version. There's a really nice rigid tapping menu. There's a whole bunch of new stuff in the Control Peripherals VCP setup. There's support for the Shuttle Express. There's support for the new wireless MPG. All kinds of nice stuff that we'll go over in other videos. But once you have all your tabs set up the way they were, according to your turns ratios, your backlash, and all that kind of good stuff, once they're the same, then you go ahead and hit Right Settings to CNC Control. It says OK, it did it. And let's go ahead and close out our tabs. Now I'm ready to start the new version of CNC12. And what it's going to do, and you want to do this with the Acorn on and up and running, because the CNC12, the new version of CNC12, is going to install the new firmware, and that's what it's doing right now. It says MPU rebooting, do not power off the Acorn. So it is updating the firmware on the BeagleBone Green, which it is now done. And I'm going to go ahead and shut down. What I like to do is I shut down CNC12 at this point in time, and I power cycle the Acorn board. So I'm going to go ahead and shut CNC12 down. I'm removing the logic 24 volt DC power by unplugging an 110 volt outlet plug to that power supply, and I'm plugging it back in. And BeagleBone is booting up. I see a bunch of flashing blue lights, and the Ethernet lights are going, and I'm going to wait for the heartbeat. Okay, I've got a heartbeat. Now I'm ready to start CNC12. Okay, now to verify that we have successfully done the update, I'm going to hit Setup, and Setup displays the version number that you're currently running. So it's obviously new and different, and we're up and running. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Cycle Start to home the machine out, and I'm going to just check to make sure that I have motion, which I do. I'm running a little G540 with some stepper motors. You might be able to hear those running in the background. Now, if you had a license file, a Pro, mill or lathe, or a digitizing bundle license file, now you want to reinstall that license file. Let's go do that. I'm going to hit Utility, Option, Import License, navigate to where your license is. My license is right here, Mill Pro. Hit Open. It says license successfully imported, and you'll notice it changes to Acorn Pro. Also, back on the main screen, if you hit Setup, it'll tell you Acorn Pro right there. Now, if you want to activate features in the Pro software that are supported by the Pro software, go back to the wizard and let's turn on some of those features. One of them is wireless MPG support. So after you install your Pro license, you can come back in here and select Yes to wireless MPG. There's also some new feature in here, how you can tell CNC12 how you want it to start as far as the VCP configuration. That's what that is. Another thing that you can do is also supported by Pro is spindle encoder and rigid tapping. And if you say yes, a rigid tapping menu pops up, and these are a bunch of default values which match the tech bulletin on how to set up rigid tapping. And you can see that tech bulletin for more information. But these are great numbers to start with, work for most types of rigid tapping, but rigid tapping depends a lot on your particular machine tool, how fast it accelerates and decelerates, so you may have to tweak these numbers. So that's an example here of once you have Mill Pro installed, how you want to come back into the wizard, turn those features on, and hit Right Settings to CNC Control. Settings saved. Now when I go back into CNC12 Mill, those features will be on and active. Now, once you have your new version of software up and running, certainly make a new report. You want to create a new report file, and if you have to ever install this exact version of software, you could use Restore Report, F2 here, and Restore Report would automatically put back all these settings that we just got done going through with just one button click and save you a bunch of time. Now let's talk about a few special cases here. What I just described works for most users, but if you happen to have custom macros or custom home programs or custom PLC programs, what we have effectively done is we just overwrote those particular macros and PLC programs, etc., and home program. Here's another example. What we just overwrote as well. We overwrote the tool library. So if I go into the tool library, it just puts in a default tool library. Well, in the previous version of software, if I had a whole bunch of time and energy in setting up a whole ton of tools, it kind of sucks that that's gone now. Well, it's really not gone. It's just actually just sitting in that directory, that directory that we made, the copy of the CNC12 version of software that we upgraded from. So we can actually copy those tool libraries out of the old directory into the new directory so we don't lose all that work. And the same is true for the home file and other macros. So let's just go do that. What I'm going to do is go back to my C drive, and here's the new CNCM directory that we just installed today, and here's the old one, which I labeled working 410. So if I want to copy the tool library from the old directory, I open up that directory, and inside there for the milling software, there's two files, cncm.ol and cncm.tl. OL stands for Offset Library, TL stands for Tool Library. So I've highlighted both of those, and I right-click, copy, and now I'm going to jump back to the CNCM directory, right-click, paste, and it's going to ask me to replace these files, and I say yes. That's all there is to it. Now, when I start CNC12, I have successfully copied over my old tool library to the new version of software. Therefore, I have not lost all that hard work I had done with my tool library. So there it is. Piece of cake. And you can do the same thing with the home files. Notice when I'm doing this, I'm shutting down CNC12. You always want to do that when you're copying files from an old directory to a new directory. Let's go find the home file. If I had some sort of special home file in my old directory, I would come down here. There's the cncm.home. I would copy that out, and I would stuff it into the new CNC CNC12 directory. And same goes with macros. Same thing, here's all the macros. If you have edited any of these macros, you would copy out that macro from the old directory and stuff it into the new directory. Alrighty. Okay, let's go over some Windows Firewall settings. When you first install the Centroid CNC12 software, we recommend that you just turn all the firewall stuff off. It just makes it easy to verify that you can get communication down the Ethernet port to the Acorn board. You can, however, run CNC12 with Windows Defender and Windows Firewall turned on. You just have to make some exceptions and some exclusions, and I'm going to show you how to do that. If you first get your Windows CNC12 up and running with the firewall turned off, if you run it long enough, Windows is just going to automatically turn that back on, and CNC12 will start to not be able to communicate with the Acorn board. And I went ahead and did that, and I turned Windows Firewall back on, and this message pops up. Windows Defender Firewall has blocked some features of this app. Allow CNCM to communicate with these networks. You want to click both these boxes, public and private, and click Allow Access. If you're having any other sort of communication problems, meaning that CNC12 won't start and you never receive the VCP panel here, 99.9% of the time it's Windows Firewall related. So let's go check out how you can set up the firewall. I'm going to just type in firewall here and double click on Windows Defender Firewall. And actually this is kind of the advanced menu that pops up. I'm going to go ahead and grab the other one that's more simple. Firewall and Network Protection, this menu right here. And if I click the Home button and you click on Virus Threat and Protection and then click on Virus Threat and Protection again, you can go ahead and turn all these on. Real-time protection, you see I have them on right now. And here's down here is what we've got to do, the exclusions, add or remove exclusions. And what you want to do is click on the plus button and add or remove an exclusion. We're going to do a folder. So we're going to navigate to the CNCM folder and select that. Then I want you to go back to the home screen, actually back to the, just keep hitting back. There we go, to the Security Center, and then allow app through firewall. And I can come over here and click Change Settings, allow another app, and I navigate to the CNCM.exe, click Add. And it says, in this case, it's already there because I've already just added it. But make sure that that is added on your list. And there it is, CNCM. And make sure both the public and private buttons are checked. Sometimes you have to do that. You got to come into this menu if it doesn't ask you. Just a minute ago, you saw it ask me when I fired CNC12. For some reason, Windows sometimes does it, sometimes doesn't do it. You can check to make sure that it's in here. Once that's all set, now you can fire up CNC12 and Windows Defender will let CNC12 communicate down the Ethernet port, as you see right now that we're connecting. So when you come out of CNC12 and back in, it's going to automatically force you to hit the reset button, and it says reset initiated, and you can just hit it a couple times there to make sure you're good to go. If you're still having connection problems, then you can go back to the command prompt and ping your local Ethernet port to make sure your local port on your CNC PC is working. And once you get that working, then you ought to be able to talk down to the Acorn board. The Acorn board must have a heartbeat light going, which is a blue once a second flashing light. Let me just show you how to check your local Ethernet port. I'm just going to go down here to the Windows search bar, type in command prompt, and there's already videos out explaining how to do this, but I'm just going to show you again. Ping, type in ping 10.168.4 41.1. That's your local Ethernet IP address. So, and sure enough, let's make this bigger so I can see it. 4 packets sent, 4 received, 0 lost, so it's working. So that lets me know that 0.1 lets me know that the local Ethernet port is working. If I hit up arrow, it brings up the last command. I can change it to 0.2. 0.2 is the Ethernet port on the Acorn board, and I'm pinging that, and sure enough, that's all working as well. So that's just a way to verify your Ethernet port communication. And I'm going to go ahead and start CNC12 again. All right, that pretty much covers updating CNC12. If you have any questions or comments, please post them on the CNC forum, and we'll be glad to answer them for you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.